Part 1. Chapter 2. An early morning caller.
"Albert, the dog!"
"Eh? What?" came the muffled response from a sleepy Albert Norris, his head tucked away under his pillow as the first wash of morning light encroached through the curtained window into the bedroom.
"I said the dog needs to go out. He's scratching at the door."
Norris emerged from under the pillow. His hair was tousled from a night's tossing and turning, and he looked at his wife as she nudged him forcibly in the ribs with her elbow.
"OK, Betty, I'm going,"
he replied, as he slowly extricated himself from the warmth of his bed, his feet slipping almost as if by magic into the carpet slippers which sat in their usual place beside the bed. Norris trudged sleepily across the room, stopping only to pick up and pull on his plaid dressing gown, a Christmas gift from his wife the previous year, then opened the door, allowing the entry of a scruffy black terrier of indeterminate parentage. The mutt immediately bypassed Norris and jumped on the bed, smothering his mistress's face with affectionate licks as his tail wagged non-stop with excitement.
"Bert!"
she shouted at her husband, who, as was usual upon Billy the dog's daily entrance to their room, stood watching the performance with a huge grin on his face.
"All right, I know. Billy, come on, you mad hound,"
he called, and the terrier leapt down from the bed and quickly followed Norris as he went down the stairs and opened the back door of their neat terraced home to allow the dog to roam freely in the small back garden. Albert Norris spent the next 5 minutes making a pot of steaming hot tea. Then, leaving Billy to enjoy himself in the garden, he returned to the bedroom with cups of tea for his wife and himself.
"One day, Bert, that dog will learn not to jump on the bed in the mornings. I'm sure you encourage him."
"Oh, come on. Do you really expect him to change? We've had him 5 years, and he's hardly likely to stop showing you his affection after all that time, is he?"
"I suppose you're right." Betty Norris smiled at her husband.
"The tea's good, Bert, as always."
"My speciality, my love?"
he replied, his voice soft and soothing as he reached out and touched his wife's hair, stroking her long auburn locks and caressing her gently behind her ear.
"Now, Bert Norris, that's enough of that. You've work to go to, my lad. You can forget all that amorous stuff and put it aside for later."
"Well then, you'd best be getting out of that bed and seeing to my breakfast, don't you think? Or do you want me to go to work on an empty stomach?"
"Bert Norris, you're a slave driver," she said, laughing.
Betty thumped her husband playfully and finished her tea, returning the cup and saucer to the tea tray. 5 minutes later, she was in the kitchen, boiling 2 eggs and buttering 2 thick slices of bread for her husband's breakfast. Before the eggs were ready, their morning routine was interrupted by a loud knocking at the front door.
"I'll go,"
said Norris. He walked briskly from the kitchen and along the narrow hallway. He paused at the door to turn the key in the lock, and then opened it to reveal a young and seemingly agitated uniformed police constable, who stood almost to attention as the bulky figure of Albert Norris filled the open doorway.
"Constable Fry,"
said Norris, recognising the young man as one of the constables from the station, though not one he'd worked closely with in the past.
"What on earth brings you to my door at this early hour?"
"Inspector Norris," said Fry, "I'm so sorry to disturb you, but Chief Inspector Madden sent me. Well, that is, the Chief Inspector gave the orders and Sergeant Wilson actually sent me, but—"
"You're babbling, Fry. Pull yourself together, man, and tell me what's happened. By the look on your face, something serious is afoot."
"Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Anyway, Sergeant Wilson said I was to fetch you right away. All hell's broke loose, sir. You know as how the Whitechapel murderer struck again last night? Well, the night before last night, really, and,
Whoa, hold your horses, man. I'm not involved in that case. I thought Inspector Aberline was leading the local investigation into that one."
"Yes, I know, sir, but it's not about that."
"Well, why mention him then? What's this about, Fry?"
The beast killed again in the early hours of yesterday morning, as you know, and the mutilations were even worse than the others, sir. I mean, Tabram and Nichols, and there's hardly a constable to be spared. Everyone is being drafted in to intensify the search, as Sergeant Wilson puts it. That's why they need you for the other case."
"What other case?" asked Norris, his face suddenly getting into a hard and professional stare as he waited for Fry to get to the real point of this early morning summons.
"There's been a killing on the new underground railway, sir. A woman, stabbed and left in a carriage. I've been told to tell you. The Chief Inspector wants you to take charge of the case. Someone has already been sent to fetch Sergeant Hillman to the station too."
Dylan Hillman was Norris's sergeant, the only man in the entire world he would admit to having absolute faith and trust in. Hillman and Norris had worked closely together for 5 years, and the bond between the two men had grown ever stronger with each passing year. At least, Norris thought, he wasn't the only man being summoned into the station at the crack of dawn.